working with me before, but we decided together that we will produce haute couture wines. This is not just to be, I mean, posh or whatever. It's just because we have a challenge. The challenge is to put in a bottle wearing the label Meursault-Blagny, for example, only the Meursault-Blagny, nothing else. This can be only words, but this is for us so important. I don't say my colleagues are doing things which are not good. I just say we want to go as far as we can with the technology of today to respect the history and nature. It's not a paradox. We are not living in the Middle Age anymore, so we can use the technology of today or invent new technologies if it doesn't exist to pay respect to Mother Nature the maximum. And if nature is capable to make the job, she will do it much better than we do. So we put everything together, and our new winery will be open on Monday. I mean, we were building a brand new winery, huge one. And on Monday, we will answer the phone there. So it's 1 year and a half of works. And this is just to say that in this new winery, we will have the tools of the 21st century to host what our ancestors did well and to eliminate what they did not that well. They did mistakes, probably because they had no tool to respect nature. One example is the control of temperature over the vats. Dijon is the capital of mustard because to produce mustard, you need vinegar. And you could find very easily vinegar in Burgundy. I would say in a decade, 5 years we're producing wine and five years we're producing vinegar. So this is why Dijon became a capital of mustard. Today we have systems, method to control temperature of the vat, so we don't produce any more vinegar. One example of what technology can do to help the people to keep the chain perfect. The chain is important. I mean, the chain starts with the roots of the vines and end in your glass of wine. And in between, human beings are only one element of the chain. Don't think you are the master of the chain. We have to be very humble beside that. And so this is my philosophy. My philosophy is to be just the guy which is in between two elements. Our role is not to break it and to help if necessary. You know, if the chain is starting to rust, we can put some oil on it, but this is the only thing we can do. And becoming a négociant is important because Burgundy is famous for since centuries and centuries, but through négociants. The estate bottling in Burgundy started in the mid-70s. Before that, all the wines were sold by négociants. A négociant could buy grape or barrels from the producers, the vine growers, blend it and make a Chambertin with, I don't know, 6, 7 different producers. And this is what I do now. This is our job. I have good sourcing with my friends, winemakers or vine growers, and we can have, for example, we have the Corton Charlemagne we produce. Corton Charlemagne is one of the widest part of one Grand Cru in Burgundy. It's 52 hectares, and we have 7 producers that are selling us most or grape. And so we can have a universal Corton Charlemagne coming from everywhere from the east, the west, the north, the south, middle of the slope, and so on. And this is what we want to do. As much as we can, we have now 25 different appellations, and we try to have several producers, several sourcing for each appellation. So this is what we want to do now, to give to the final customer, to you, the security that the wine which is in the bottle is the real wine harvested in one plot with a name. And it can be something simple, but it's not always the case, you see. And we as people, we have to be backwards. What is important is what is in the bottle. And also what is important for us is to keep the wine perfect until it reaches your house and your corkscrew. Having said that, we have invented a lot of different elements to keep the wine controlled cool, as cool as necessary, and so on. So we will probably talk about that a bit later. But okay, speaking of philosophy, I don't have a philosophy. I just live a passion. That's it.
Makes sense. That's great. And maybe can you just mention about, I know you're saying that a lot of your cuvées you're blending from different parcels in the same appellation. Is that sort of why you've chosen the like a cuvée name? And what do you base your cuvée names on as well?
Oh, the nickname of each wine is just coming from my brain, which is full of bullshit as well sometimes, but but just our labels are quite futuristic, as you can see. But nature is really at the origin of everything. So to pay credit to Mother Nature, I decided to give a nickname to each wine. And the whites are wearing the name of a flower, and the reds are wearing the name of a tree, except the Chambol-Musigny, which has also a flower, violet. But this is just, there is nothing to see with the blending or whatever, just fantasy.
Mm. Awesome. And also, I guess in the winery, like, you know, we found yesterday tasting through the wines that the wines have such a light touch and light extraction, and they're not oaky, and it's more about elegance and also how impressively they drink young as well, which I think is great. And how would you say how do you define your style in the winery, and how do you achieve this style?
Well, I think when you respect nature the maximum, when you give to each vintage its capacity to age or not, you have no style. So my style or our style is not to have a style. Actually, we are really thinking that if the wine doesn't show like we won't sell it. In the new building, we have a distillery. It means that if just before the bottling a wine is not in accordance with our standards, we will distill it, not sell it to another négociant. You know, it's not fair. Distill. So it means our style is to try to extract the essence of each terroir. Burgundy, in the past, in the last 500 years and before, had the reputation to produce wine classy, refined, elegant, but never like blockbusters, never with color, never with tannins or with, I mean, okay, the global warming is changing a little the things, and we have color that are a little more dense today. We have a little more tannins, that's why, due to the sun. But we have to keep Burgundy classy and refined. And this is what we do. You know, I used to be a hippie, so I don't like aggressivity, peace and love. So, and this is for me in the wine that also to share something, you have to share passion and joy and pleasure, not share the problems. And Burgundy is not a region where you can produce wine of Pinot Noir. Pinot Noir doesn't exist in Burgundy. We have appellations. And so this is what I want to do. This is our style, so to say, to respect the terroir.
Awesome. Sounds great. I think we should, I just want to make sure that everyone has the wines poured out, and you know, I think we're gonna start, well, we're gonna jump into the Meursault. Blanny, if everyone has the card and is following along with the order that we have, but maybe we could just start making sure everyone has the Meursault Blanny in the glass, and we can start there. I wanted to first ask you just about how you find Blanny is different than maybe other Meursault Premier Crus, you know, just a little bit further down the slope.
No, Blanny is up the slope.
Yeah, but compared to the Premier Crus further down.
Well, I just said before we started that I will never comment my own wines. So what I can say about Meursault is we produce now one Meursault Village and 4 different Premier Cru, because my son and myself, we decided to never produce a wine we don't like to. So we love Meursault, and we want to produce Meursault that are just for us, first of all, and then share it. And why Blagny? Blagny is just at the border with Puligny-Montrachet, top of the slope. The material grade is more difficult, and we like challenges. And for me, this is a very refined mineral and floral wine to compare with the Charme, which is a little more fleshy, the Perrier a little more elegant, and so on. So, but you know, what is important with the Blagny is that you have to match it with the perfect food. You know, the others are easy to pair with food, but the Blagny, you need to find something like the jambon persillé, like from Burgundy, and other things like this. So, you know, you have to taste it and make your own judgment on it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I wonder if you know, at this point we can throw it out and see other people who have it in their glass, if you know, there are questions or comments about it.
Before someone decides to speak, I will add something. Our wines are really not manipulated. We don't use sulfur dioxide, for example. We never use new oak barrels. You know, we try to be, as I said, respectful of the evolution of the wine in the barrels and things. We never decide the date of bottling because we have nothing to do in the vineyards during this period. It's just each wine that says, I am ready. And we have all the machinery necessary to do even one barrel if necessary. This is important to say that we respect it at the maximum. And when I say we don't use sulfur dioxide, it's not because I'm following any rule, any method from biodynamics or whatever. It's just because I guess no one here is taking a pill of aspirin every morning, just thinking that you may have a headache during the day. If you have the headache, you take the pill. Why would you put sulfur dioxide in a barrel if the barrel doesn't need it, the wine doesn't need it? So we do analysis of each barrel every month. And if the barrel is safe, we don't use sulfur dioxide. But if, bad luck, one time a barrel is the volatile acidity, which is the marker of the oxidation, is growing, we would rack the barrel into another one. We keep safe barrels apart. And we will first of all destroy the barrel that produces the oxidation, and then we will use the sulfur dioxide as a medicine only. See, and but to avoid too much oxidation, I use neutral gas for years and years. I am an enologist, so I made a lot of experimentations, and since 1988, I don't use any sulfur dioxide systematically. So, but neutral gases. We have also a machine to produce our own nitrogen, for example, and we use that to protect. But sometimes the wine needs to breathe, and we let the wine breathe. It's just a question of good sense. Everything we do is good sense. So that's it. And the new oak, why should I use a new oak barrel while during more than 2,000 years in Burgundy, we have been using only barrels which were already used, so to say. Because the porosity of a new barrel is such that you give more than twice the oxygen that you give to the wine, to the same amount of wine from an old barrel. So we don't want the wine to breathe too much, because he will have too much oxygen when it is a baby and a young wine. A wine can absorb in his life before to die 100% of oxygen. If you give the 75% of the oxygen during the period of winemaking and aging, then the wine has only 25% chances to age well. But if you give only 20 to 25% of the oxygen during the same period of producing the wine, then the wine will have a long life, a long time to age and absorb the oxygen that will make him die at the end. So this is what we do. I assure you that all the wines you are drinking today can age 25, 40, 50, 100 years for some of them with no problem.
Very cool. And I think I read somewhere, and this is sort of what you were talking about, but just how like, why would you, I guess compared to sulfur, like why would you wake up and take painkillers before you have a headache as opposed to just treating things, when they need to be treated, which I thought was pretty, an interesting comment. Yeah. So yeah, a couple comments just talking about how, how fresh the Merceau Blanny is and vibrant, and and I agree, it is like bright and fresh and still very much tastes like Merceau, and it's amazing how like without oak, without new barrels, it's still, it tastes of Merceau, and there's nothing clouding that terroir, like sometimes it can be with young heavily oaked Merceau. But yeah, I think it's fantastic.
And Costa, I think you had a question there as well.
Yeah, just Laurent, at the end of the day, how many people are involved in the decision making when actually making the wine? So everything from harvest to the winemaking stuff, the winemaking itself. Who's involved in making the decisions to allow the wine to express itself optimally? And also, is there a particular benchmark or a style that you follow that you want your wines to express? What is that process like?
Well, first of all, we have, as I said, many providers, and each of my colleagues or friends are playing the game. I have a spreadsheet that I give to all my providers on what I want. But it's easy. I want them to harvest not too early, first of all, because we need the maturity of the grape. We have a lot of things involved. It would be too long to put the list, but it's all based on good sense. And then when we have the most, for white wine, we buy most, especially. We are 3 people at the winery to decide what we're gonna do with this. It's my son, my cellar master, which is with me more than 20 years, and followed me from my ancient life, and myself. And but our idea is to, when something is not in accordance with our standard, we give it back to the provider. And we did it last year, for example, for some Corton Charlemagne. It reached our winery and it was not respecting everything, so it went back to the provider. I don't know if it was a good answer to the question, but
Awesome. Yeah, another. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I can just add something that all my providers are following. Again, like me, natural rules. Some of them are following the biodynamic or the organic farming or whatever. What I want, I don't want to be, in a cage where you cannot escape, strict systems. I'm a free man. I don't want to really follow too much rules which are too restrictive. But all my friends and colleagues are really doing the best possible. And I have to say, if I believe that we are capable to produce good grapes ourselves, out of 3,500 vine growers of Burgundy, I guess many others can do that. And some are producing better grapes than me. So what we are doing now with my new venture is to chase these people and try to work with them. And we are doing well at the moment.
Very cool. Edwin, do we have any other questions?
Nope, I think we can keep moving along here.
I had, sorry, one more question.
Go ahead, Bahi.
Little echo back there.
I have a quick question, Jake, if you just for Laurent. Laurent, there's a lot of micro negocios now starting, like just seem to see a new one or two or three sometimes every year. How competitive is it? I mean, obviously you're in a privileged position given your tenure and everybody knows you and everything else. But in terms of getting those contracts and getting that source fruit, are you finding it really competitive right now? Does that impact price, things like that?
Yeah, well, it is definitely competitive. I mean, it's very difficult. I am lucky, I would say, to have all the providers I have, but I'm not sure it will last. Who knows? In Burgundy, we never make any contract. I tried with one of my lawyers. We wrote it down and we showed it to one guy. He says, "Oh, hey, shit, shake hand, eyes into eyes, and that's far enough." And this is how it works. But having said that, once a guy which was providing me grapes of Clos de Vougeot, 15 days before the harvest says, "I won't sell grapes this year." So what can I do? So this is it. It is very challenging to have a good source. Maybe because I am in the business for quite a long time, I am maybe a bit more lucky than others. I don't know, but it's a good question because it's really challenging.
Makes sense. Should we move on to the Bourgogne?
Sir, before we do, I
One more
just
question.
wanted to ask a question
Please.
about the Merceau. No, I love the nose. It is very fresh and vibrant and floral. Just the palate, I was curious because compared to say other Merceaus, it seems to be just very just the back end of the palate seems to have a lot of, I don't know if spice is the right word, or it's just it's very pronounced and it's just kind of angular. I'm wondering if that was sort of the intent. Is that a consequence of just not using sulfites, or what is it about the back end of the palate?
Well, I don't know really. I have to answer this question easily. This is just a Merceau Blagny. And for years and years, we have beverages made from wine and oak, even a little oak, even 10%. Today, our wines, I don't pretend they are the best Merceaus or whatever. They are just wine. And we are a little surprised, I am myself, when I taste our own wines, to see how harmonious and how we can find things that I never found in other wines of the same appellation. Just because we just extract from one piece of land through the roots up to the grape and then to the wine. Just the terroir, as we say. Terroir is a word that is used for many purposes, but this is it. The terroir is one plant, one place, one wine. And if you find, you feel these spices and things, this is perfect. I love it. I love to hear that. It's music to my ear, because I don't know about it. I don't know how to manage to reach that. It's just a Merceau Blagny. That's it. We rediscover wines when they are not manipulated, and when there is no sulfur, and when there is no new oak. We rediscover wines, I guess.
Very cool. Okay, just make sure everyone has the Bourgogne poured out. And I guess I was just going to start by asking you, to you is a great Bourgogne Rouge like an expression of the entire Côte d'Or, or is it? I guess it just depends on the vineyards that you're sourcing it from. But I guess just more in a general sense, less specifically about the wine, but is how do you see a Bourgogne?
Well, first of all, Bourgogne, the generic Bourgogne, red or white, represent 55% of the surface of Burgundy. So it's huge. And Bourgogne starts north of Lyon and ends in Chablis. So it's wide. So you can have a lot of land producing Bourgogne. So our Bourgogne, first of all, is only Bourgogne. It's not a declassified village or premier cru. Many of my colleagues, to make their Bourgogne better, they do that. We play the game from A to Z. We are really not lying to anyone. We have only grapes from Bourgogne. I won't tell you where it comes from. This is not important. For me, this is a Bourgogne, and this is a blend of several provenance. I don't say it comes from Beaujolais and then from Irancy. I just don't want to say. And what I want is that in the bottle, you have a Bourgogne. And I don't know what is a Bourgogne. I am learning when I do that, because this is a new job for me to be a négociant, so to say. But I am so happy with the quality. And I like you, probably tonight, when I started in 2016, I was amazed to drink a Bourgogne, which is, I mean, at the level of a village sometimes, just because I did select my grapes carefully. I'm happy of this. I'm sorry, I will never answer to question directly, because too precise questions are difficult to answer, because we don't know how it happens sometimes. We have to be frank. We don't need to say, okay, I am an enologist, so I learn how things are happening. And I did it just to be sure that if I don't act, the wine will not collapse. But as too many people are doing things with the phrase in mind, just in case. For me, there is a case or there is no case. So this is why we do a lot of analyses, we do a lot of tastings as well, and we learn and we learn. And when at the end it's not good, we brand it.
Yeah, that's a great answer. Yeah, I'm curious what people, have to ask and think about this. I think we all thought it was, a phenomenal expression of Bourgogne when we tasted it yesterday, and like Laurent says, it's always exciting when a Bourgogne drinks, maybe better than some other people's Village or more specific appellations. But I think it's delicious and easy drinking. Laurent, can I ask you quickly just about a whole cluster? Are you using whole cluster much? Or does it depend on the cuvee and things like that? Or are you more in the destemmed sort of fruit camp?
When I said that we are using new technology and things, it's based on our experience. And in Burgundy, we produce wine since the Roman time, I would say 2,100 years. And I've been reading a lot of things on the history of Burgundy, the wines of Burgundy. And so I learned that since ever, until the 80s, everybody was distemming. And today, when people are speaking of whole bunch of things, these are new fashions produced by some enologists like gurus that existed in the 80s, end of the 70s, beginning of the 80s in Burgundy. But as an enologist, I can tell you that nothing good can come from the stamp. The acidity of the stamp is not the real good to age the wine. The bitterness is affecting the taste of the wine. So we destamp, but sometimes I can, for any reason, because sometimes we don't know why we do things, use a little of the stamps, I don't know, to break the elevation of the temperature in a hot vintage, for example, like this. But in the winemaking, I have one rule, is not to have a rule. So things are evolving, and if one day we will need to do that with maybe another cepage, who knows with the global warming, if we will keep the Pinot Noir, I don't know. We'll see. But no, in the history of Burgundy, we have always destamped the grapes. And I had in my ex-winery this summer from the Middle Age.
Wow. There's a question from Cindy just about what's your biggest market? I guess biggest market in general or biggest market of this wine specifically?
No, all my wines, the 25 appellations are going to all my clients over the planet. We don't have one major client. I decided for years to never sell more than 8% to one country. And so we spread it all over the planet. And USA, for example, which used to be one of the biggest, they try to get to 10% of my production. Today, they do probably 2% of the production with the problems they had with the tariffs and things and the COVID. But no, we restarted 4 years ago. It's very new, see. And so we have already 30 countries, 32, I guess, and we are growing and growing. So we don't have a big client.
Wow, that's very cool.
That's one thing we do actually appreciate a lot as well, just getting the wide range of your wines and being able to share the different terroirs from our perspective as importers as well.
Good. I'd like to hear that. We need you, actually. We need all of our clients, and I am so sorry not to be with you physically. I love to travel, so before the COVID, on the last 2 years before the COVID, I did twice the distance from Earth to the moon in aeroplanes. So I am like a bird with no wings, actually. So I prefer to be with you. But it will happen one day.
There's a quick question from Bob here as well about he sees this Bourgogne having a little more structure with the tannin and acidity and with really great concentration. He's wondering, what do you see this wine as one that you would age to improve? Is it one you see capable of aging?
Well, the answer is easy. Yes, it can age. I guess even 20 years for a Bourgogne Rouge, no problem. 20, 25. There is something new. Due to the global warming, the wines in the last vintages are showing well a year after the bottling, while normally they were going to the teenage phase. It can happen, and 2015 is going in a teenage phase at the moment. I mean, it's closing down, but the global warming has a perverse effect, which is benefit for Burgundy. I would say, I don't like it for a poor planet, but for Burgundy, it's positive. So there is always a two sides of a medal. So, but yeah, well, I don't know what to say. This is good now. It will be good next year, and it will be good in 25 years, I guess. There is everything in the wine to age well.
Makes sense. Okay, if there's nothing else, any other questions here, then should we move on to the Beaune Premier Cru?
So we have a question about alcohol content. We don't have the bottle in front of us. Can someone enlighten us on the alcohol content?
On the Bourgogne?
On all of them, I guess.
Yeah, totally.
Well, let's start there.
The Bourgogne that
In general.
Yeah. So Laurent, do you want me to just to go through and tell you what the contents on each bottle are? Or? Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay. The Merceau is 14. The Bourgogne is 13. The Beaune Premier Cru is 12.5. The Chambol Musigny is 13.5. And then the Griot 13.5. So very restrained alcohol these days.
given by nature.
Yeah.
We don't add water to make it lower.
There's,
It's again, we say that we have alcohol contents which are growing nowadays. But I had my grandfather was a guy very classy. He was doing analyses since he started. So I got all the analyses of my grandfather's wines. And to give you an example, the 1949 was 15.1% alcohol. The 47 was 14.9. So it's not new to have a high level of alcohol in Burgundy, but when it is given only by the sugar of the fruit, you cannot feel it in your mouth when you drink it. When it is added by sugar added, this is not good. You can feel it, and it's sharp, and it's really not very easy to drink.
There's another question from Cindy just about, I don't know if you have insight on this, but whereas how Bordeaux has, allowed new varieties in response to global warming, whether you think there will be any change to the permitted varieties in Burgundy.
No. The people are starting to talk about it, but on this planet, Pinot Noir is planted in many other places, like California, like, Australia or whatever. And it holds very well in the heat. So yes, okay, we have more alcohol, but it's a big problem. We drink wine to be happy. So we will be happy sooner with the alcohol content higher. So no, I don't think we will change before long in Burgundy. Maybe take back some ancient grape like the one we use in Beaujolais, the Gamay. Gamay was planted in the Grand Cru before the phylloxera, so maybe we can take it back for one spot or another. I don't know, but no, Pinot Noir is a grape that can really hold the heat with no big trouble. And we harvest a bit earlier than in the past. In the past, in Burgundy, we were doing the harvest in October, and today some people are doing that in August. I do myself as late as possible, but for years I started in September, in mid-September or end September, but earlier than before.
Do you see any issues with the people that are harvesting early in August, like of I guess physiological ripeness or complexities that aren't able to establish?
Sure. When everything is in the grape, given by nature, the harmony will be there. When you are Mr. Plus, that you add sugar, you add acids, you add tannin, you add things because it's not mature, then you have a wine. But then you are a winemaker, so you made the wine. I don't want to be a winemaker.
Yeah, the bone is awesome. And I guess I had written down, I was gonna ask you about what sites, what Premier Cruise you're using, but I have a feeling you're not gonna tell me.
No, I can tell you, this is easy. When I started, when I go to a restaurant myself, if I need to take 2 red wines, I just noticed that one time on 2, it was a Bon Premier Cru. I said, you must like it. So why don't you try to produce it? So I looked for grapes, and I found a lot. I know now why, because it's not very easy to sell. But I found a lot of providers, very good appellations. So I had 8 Premier Cru, different Premier Cru in 17, which was my first vintage. And then I said, okay, what can I do? Do I sell each wine separately, or do I blend everything? So I decided to blend. So this is a blend of 8 different Premier Cru. of bone, and this is quite interesting. It's our only red wine from Côte de Beaune. I love it, and we have to say that it is the same price as a village wine from Côte de Nuit. It's the same price at Gevrey-Chambertin, for example. So it is important to say that even if it is a Premier Cru, and I love it myself, because it's not the fame, the reputation is not as high as the Côte de Nuit, I decided to sell it the same price as a village of Côte de Nuit. It is important to say. It's a part of the wine as well, the price.
There's a question, will the blend be, I mean, I guess you've made this for a few years now, but has the blend changed vintage to vintage?
No.
No.
No. I produce a little less now. The first vintage I did 35 barrels, which is quite a lot. The second year I did 30 and then 15. And this year a little less, 10 only.
Wow. Are you still riding your motorbike? And what is your favorite bike? Is a question from Jim.
Well, I just sold my Ducati, which I had here in France, because riding in Europe is not nice. But I own a Harley Davidson in America, so I keep it there, and I go every year from a friend's garage to another friend's garage. So. But I still do, yeah. And I am planning my summer ride in the Wild West.
Laurent, which of your wines that you've made is your favorite? And if you could never drink any other wine but one for the rest of your life, which one would it be?
I prefer to die rather to have only one wine. But no, I mean, when you have children, how can you pick one for being your favorite? I recognize 3 children. As a hippie, I don't know how many I have, but I love them the same way. And what I like, as I said previously, is the diversity. Why would I pick one wine when I don't like this supposition. I am on a desert island with only one wine. I prefer to drink the salt water of the sea and die.
You said this is your only Côte de Beaune red. Is there another terroir you'd like to work in, or does that just depend on finding the right source?
No, at the moment we have reached. I started 4 years ago with 8 appellations. We are now producing 25 appellations. We missed 2 that we want to get in the future. And the one red that we don't have, we are looking for already 4 years, but I didn't find any good deal, I would say. It's a Vosne Romanée Premier Cru. In the future, when our winery will be established correctly and when my finance will be better, I will produce probably a Pouilly Fuissé, a white wine of the south of Burgundy. But no other reds from Côte de Beaune. As I said, we only produce wine that we like to drink. It doesn't mean if we don't like it that it is a bad wine, but we are not fanatic of Volnay or Pommard with my son, so we won't produce Volnay or Pommard, even if we have opportunities. And we have to stay also quiet, we don't want to become too big. Today we produce 80,000 bottles a year. While in my previous life, I was producing 45,000 in average. And we will reach, if things are going well, 100, 120, we will never go over 120,000 bottles a year. To be able to be at each stage, following the wine, helping nature and so on.
Very cool. Any other questions out there? Oh, here we go. That's a great question from Cindy. Okay, so yeah, what do you think about other wine regions in the world that are trying to be Burgundian or trying to become more Burgundian in their marketing and their wine production? I guess, as she's saying, being specific about terroir and down to rows and things like that. But yeah, what do you think about the kind of the copying of Burgundy and the kind of the marketing like Burgundy?
Well, I don't think it's like Burgundy. It's just to extract the name of the appellation. I am in favor of that. You know, in Barolos, the Barolo guys, they want to extract the wine from one spot. I know many of the winemakers there. And when you have Vigneto Roque, which is just one part of it, it is an appellation. So it is classified like Burgundy. But you know, the other day I was in America and we had a tasting, a horizontal tasting of Zinfandel. 15 different Zinfandel from the same producer, same vintage. And we had 15 different wines. They were produced by Turley. They produced 15 different Zin. And each one was really different because of the location. They did the harvest and they grow the vines. And this is the future. Forget the grape. Forget the rest. Focus on the place where the wine is born. And this is the most important. I am in favor of this. And I don't think people are trying to be Burgundian. They just want to show off their own authenticity. And I like it very much. In my private cellar, I have probably 95% of the wine which are coming from other countries. Maybe I have 24 Bordeaux. I'm joking. But yeah, well, I am very open to other wines. When I travel, the first thing I want to taste is the wine, the local wine. Even in Burma, I mean, in Myanmar, they produce wine. I tasted it. I won't taste it again, but I tasted it. No, we have to really be open and share what we can with people to let them extract their terroir everywhere.
Fantastic. Okay, should we move on to the Chambord? Yeah, texturally, this is definitely different than the others, and there's a little more softness and silkiness going on, and it's just really kind of fragrant and elegant. I think it's fantastic. Let's see.
I can say that it comes from 9 different locations of the village. We are very lucky to have to own some, to produce and to buy very good grapes. Having said that, I can add that you will never know which wine are produced, which grape are produced by us. Actually, this is not the same company. We have another company, and which grapes are coming from other vine growers. It is not necessary. What is important is what you have in your glass. And you know, today people think that because it is a vigneron, the wine is better than the négociant. Bullshit. Négociant can make much better than bad vigneron and reverse. If people are playing the game carefully, all the wines from négociant or vigneron can be perfect. And if Burgundy is so well known for years and years, thanks to the négociant. Even if they had some trouble during a while, it's sometimes the fault is to the vigneron that sold to the négociant the bad grapes and keep the best for themselves. It's not very fair, but don't think that négociant is a bad word.
No. No, there is a question Ken's asking, just I guess how many different sites do you own, and what I mean versus what you own and what you're sourcing.
Well, in our actual production, we have 1/3 that we produce and 2/3 that we buy.
Yes.
But sometimes we buy also grapes from the one appellation that we produce as well. It's our Chambertin, for example. We have some Chambertin. We farm it, but we buy also from others. And since actually this is a good example, since we buy grapes from friends, our Chambertin is much better. Because the vineyards we were working on were not the very best vineyards of Chambertin, due to the fact that in 1961 they planted type of grape that was producing a lot, and it was very difficult to break the production. So after a year, after 50 years, it's okay. But since we buy grapes from Chambertin, our Chambertin is really at the top. Good example of what Négociant can make in the good way.
Wow. There's a question like, have you bought fruit from the Domaine Ponsot, or the operations totally separately? Like,
this is something I will be short about it. 4 years ago, I left Domaine Ponsot. I left everything. I am not involved with Domaine Ponsot at all. They do what they want, and I don't want to know what they. I left for personal reasons, and I have nothing to see with them anymore. But I went away with the vineyards that were mine vineyards, not owned by the family, and with some vineyards I rented myself. The sharecropping system on my head, so I kept that. So this was the source of my new revival, I would say. I needed something to start with. This was it.
Great. Yeah, that's interesting. Jim is saying how, a lot of times in blind tastings, Négociant wines, beat the established vineyards. He says they did a tasting of Rousseau versus Drouin, and it was a 50-50 split, and it was, obviously much different prices. It's interesting. So this is the cuvee. This is the only red that's named after a flower that you were saying.
Yeah, because you feel violet in the wine. I guess, I don't know. No.
Yeah, that's great.
Again, I guess the balance in our wines has to be, just good. The acidity is there, alcohol is there. There is nothing which is more than another. All the elements are there. The tannins are soft, silky. This is important for me to have this harmony. It doesn't mean it has to be light. Harmonious doesn't mean light. You need a backbone, and there is a backbone.
Absolutely. Yeah, Ken says that he thinks it's the most balanced wine so far. Yeah, to me, it's texturally the silkiest, but I think it's the expression of Chambolle. Yeah. Okay. Anyone else? Speak now. We're going to move on to the Griot, if not.
Before we jump in, maybe Laurent, can you tell us a bit about I know not everyone got bottles, but maybe he can talk about some of the features you put in the bottle to help collectors understand and know about the wines a bit better.
I didn't catch the question. I'm sorry.
I think,
Yes.
well, you know, you're obviously, sorry, go ahead.
No, the sound was bad. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was hoping you can just tell people about the bottles a little bit and some of the features you put in to the bottle and the case to protect the integrity of the wine and help collectors know what they're collecting as well. Yeah,
sure. This is important. You know, when you want to protect your children, you try to find the best way possible, and we do that too. So the first thing I invented patented that in 2000 actually. This is the dot, you know, the dot, which is a thermic witness, so to say, that changed color when the wine is exposed to high temperature, non-reversible. So this was the first thing. But then later on, we invented what we call the intelligent case. In each case of Grand Cru only, because the cost is such that I cannot use it for the lower level wines. But for all the Grand Cru, the intelligent case contain a little tool that record the temperature over 15 years every 3 hours. And you don't need to open the case. You just put your cell phone with the NFC able in it, and you have a graph of temperature from the moment it left our winery. And this is really something important because the temperature is an issue. I mean, the main issue during transportation and storage. So this is what we invented some years ago already with a startup. So when I say I did it. I am proud of it. And then later on, I wanted to go further because you know about the fake bottles and things. So each Grand Cru has a capsule that contains an NFC chip, and you also put your cell phone on it, and you have the proof of authenticity directly. Even if you didn't download the app, if you have the NFC, you can have it. Then you are proposed to download the app to have more information. But this is, for us, a way to give to the final customer our security, I would say, of temperature and authenticity. And this is important. And we are still working on other things because the technology is evolving. We would love to have also a way to register, to record the temperature on each bottle. Today, the technology, we tried something, it didn't work, but you know, it goes very fast. So we are working on it. And also we have, I have invented this cork. I said this technological closure, but you can go on the website, laurentponsot.com. You will find explanation on it. But in the early 80s, I was trying to find an alternative to the natural cork, and we found it. It's 20 years of research, and this is the ideal closure. Okay, it is polymer, which is a nice word to say plastic, but you can recycle it easily. And this gives you the assurance, the insurance that the wine that you are opening is safe of TCA. Is if you have 2 or 3 bottles that you kept during 20 years, they will be equally good if they are good, or equally bad if they are bad. But there is no variation from a bottle to another. To make it short, this is a copy of the perfect natural cork. And you know, for restaurants, for example, if they buy 12 bottles, they will sell 12 bottles, which is today a revolution. And for private people, if you are buying 6 bottles, you will drink 6 bottles. This is also a revolution. You cannot wonder about cork or not, and you can stand the bottle. No need to lay it down. If the bottle is standing, there is no problem. So a lot of good things through this, but I mean, it would be too long to explain everything we do, and we are doing new research. We'll see in the future. As I say, I will live a long life, so I need to find some topic to work on.
Yeah, I think they're great. And I was reading, I saw the oxygen transfer rates are pretty similar to, to high quality, successful corks, really. So it seems It seems like a really, really smart move. And someone asked if they were DM, but no, they're actually called Ardea seal.
Yeah. It used to be Guala. When I worked with the company, actually, I just sold the patent to the company, to Ardea, that is selling it. But I own the patent, and I did on the job with them. So yeah, and we are the only people which are producing synthetic corks that made experimentation on 400 years. This is the maximum that science can do in acceleration today. And after 400 years, the cork is exactly the same. Nothing from the component moved into the wine, still inert. And density, porosity, elasticity, which are the three main elements, were exactly the same. So,
wow. So cool.
It is.
Okay, there's a comment that just says, I've spent a lot of time in Australia where winemakers are increasingly putting their top wines under screw cap for the local market, at least. Why did you choose plastic closures instead of screw caps? Was screw cap ever a consideration for you?
No, screw cap is a great way to close a wine that can have to be drunk within 10 years.
Right.
If you want to have a wine to be laid down and aged for 20, 30, 100 years, screw cap is not good. Our closures are breathing, but we know exactly how much oxygen in a given time to the wine. And we need it. We need it. This is why we invented this, because we wanted to replace the cork with the good way of the cork, but eliminate the bad ways of the cork. This is why we didn't go. If I produce one day a wine that I know have to be drunk like the Swiss wines of the Geneva Lake, which are a little bubbly because there is some CO2 in it, screw cap is the best, for sure.
And then is this the solution for pre-mox and cork taint? I mean, sounds like cork taint for sure, but do you think the cork has anything to do with pre-mox?
Well, the cork has something to do with pre-mox, for sure. For the white Burgundies today, this is one element, but it's not the major element. It's one of them. As it was forever, since ever. I mean, a bad cork let too much oxygen get into the wine, and the wine is not good to drink. I mean, it turns into vinegar. But no, it is one element. But for sure, our closures are good for that. But if you don't take any precaution before, you can have a wine which is pre-mox, even with these corks, because this is one element that would 5% of the problem. But
right.
The main for me is the new oak, but nobody wants to talk about it. As I said previously, the new barrel, two porous, give a lot of oxygen to the wine.
Oh wow, interesting. But do you think batonnage, too much batonnage plays a role, or?
Well, batonnage in the past was a way to cure a wine which was sick. Today, this is systematic. We walk on the head. I mean, really. I mean, and there are many ways. Today, in my new winery, which is actually quite futuristic, our barrels will be on 4 wheels, and so you just close it carefully. You turn it once, and you did the batonnage. I mean, the leaves and sediments are floating everywhere, and you did it without putting again oxygen in it.
Wow. Yeah, that makes sense.
Good sense again.
Good. Okay.
So did you go to the griotte already?
It's in my glass. Is it in everyone else's glass? Yeah. Do you have are you getting fruit from a large portion? Like griotte is so small, right? It's the smallest Gevrey Grand Cru.
Yeah. Griotte, the surface of griotte is 2.56 hectares. And I am the luckiest guy that is working on one.
Wow.
So yeah, I am happy. And I can also buy some from other people sometime.
Yeah.
We can say we are the biggest producer of griotte Chambertin in the world.
Wow. Do you find, like, as far as site expression, I guess, I'm trying not to ask you specifically about the wine, but do you, like, compared to like Chambertin or other Gevrey Grand Crus that you work with, does the fruit express itself differently to you, or is there something unique about it?
Well, as I said, I don't comment my wines. I will answer by something else.
Okay.
When I the tasting with my clients when they are at the winery, there is an order, okay? We have the Charme Chambertin first, the Latricière Chambertin, the Chambertin Claude de Bèze, and we have the Griotte. That's my answer.
Wow.
Actually, I am working on having the 9 different Chambertin, and I have good hope to get the Mazy in 21 and maybe Ruchotte in 22.
Wow, very cool.
And Chapelle in 23. So then I will have the 9. I keep my fingers crossed.
Is anyone else making wine from all the Grand Crus of Gevrey? Will you be the first?
I don't know. Actually, we have already 12 Grand Cru altogether. And I think maybe 1 or 2 other people are doing it. I don't know. I'm not a competitor. I do what I like, and I respect everything my colleagues are doing, always.
Okay, there's a couple comments. I'll just read them out. One is about this is has the most structure and intensity, a little brighter than the Chambol, saying that they'd love to try it in 10 to 15 years. Ken has a question about, says that your prices are modest. What do you think about the exponential increase in Grand Cru and Premier Cru prices in Burgundy?
Well, I say that there is a price for everything. There is a good price for everything. And when you want to reach the stars, you can fall down. So keep your 2 feet on the ground of earth. And then if you are tall, you can maybe reach a high level, but no, I don't want, okay, our prices are not very light, I would say, for the Grand Cru, but not that expensive. I know some of my colleagues are selling the same appellation as I do for twice the price sometimes. And they also have a fame. We do have a fame. I'm not very proud of it, but we have a fame. That's a fact. So with this fame, I can double my prices and sell my wines. I know. But I want to also, if I pay respect to Mother Nature, I want that as many people as possible can buy our wines. This is why the Bourgogne are quite cheap, I would say, for the quality which is in the bottle. The Village are okay. The Grand Cru are a bit more, but really Griotte Chambertin, I know some other people which are producing only 1 barrel a year, which are selling the Griotte Chambertin for 50 to 100% more than mine. So I don't, even if 21, we will have probably in 21 a small crop. I don't know why I would add, if the quality is outstanding, okay, the price will maybe be a little more, but if there is a standard quality like we had in the past vintages, which is high actually, why should I increase the price? I want to share, again, a lot. So you buy the wine, I come and we share it.
Do you want to step in with your question as well?
Yes, sure. Thank you. Hi, Laurent. Eula Schmidt here. I actually have 2 questions for you, and I'm sure you could say much on both. For the first one, it's about your feeling about drink windows. I taste a wine like this, and I obviously want to sit on it for a while, but I wanted to get your thoughts about drink windows, because they also can sort of mislead people to think that wines expire or you have to wait too long for them. So that was my first question. And my second question is, how do you feel about people buying wine for investment? I think in Burgundy in particular, I think that's really become a reason why people purchase it. And just from a producer's perspective, what are your thoughts on wine as an investment?
Well, on the first question, I mean, there is no real answer. I mean, it depends on the wine. It depends of the way you keep it. There is a lot of answers on that. Really, this is difficult for me to answer to this question. To the second one, I hate the fact that people are speculating on wine. Wine, you don't speculate on a baguette. You see, food on a carrot. Why do you speculate on wine? That's crazy for me. I mean, this is why also I keep my prices quite reasonable, because I don't want people to add double, triple. I had some of my wines in the past that when I sold it, a month later, it was 200 times the price I sold it. Just crazy. So I don't like it. I don't like it. And I wish that no one is buying wines from auctions, because this is the big problem. If the wine is not sold at auction, it will never increase. If you buy the wine when it's released and you buy it from your shop, from the importer, from the liquor control board or whatever, then you will have the real price. Okay, they have to make their margin. There is a transportation, taxes, and so on. But then you have the wine and you keep it in your cellar. But if you buy the wine, drink it, or keep it for your children or for your grandchildren. I hate the system of today that wine is a speculation item. I am so sorry that probably only 20% of the Romanée Conti will ever be drunk. I'm so sorry for these people. They do their best to produce one of the most amazing wine on the planet, and then nobody drinks it. Crazy. One day I was thinking of putting in the Chambertin, make a special cuvée, only 500 bottles produced of this Chambertin specifically from, I don't know what, you can make marketing on it, and in the wine, in the bottle, put some Bourgogne Rouge. And if having done that, people can empty it and see on the back of the label through the glass of the wine would be a phrase. If you can read this, call me. I guess out of the 500 bottles, maybe 10 people will call me, because the others will never drink it. That's just crazy, just crazy. I hate this system. I don't know how we can manage to end it, but I am in the process of writing a book about the case of the fake bottles by Rudy Kurnawan. And at the end of the book, I will advise people not to buy any wine at auctions.
Great answer. Here's a question. How are the Grand Crus? Do you vinify your Grand Crus differently from, say, like village level wines in the portfolio?
No.
No.
We do the same farming, harvesting, winemaking, aging, everything is done the same way. Okay. And as I said, probably the Bourgogne will tell me I'm ready to be bottled earlier than the Grand Cru, which is not always the case, actually. But no difference. If you want to express the essence of each appellation, why should you make something different?
Okay, Jim is asking about commenting briefly on your Meursault Perrier, his vote for best white vineyard in Burgundy. Just curious about how you, I guess maybe how you rank or how you see that vineyard.
Well, Meursault Perrier is out of the 4 Premier Cru that I am producing, is probably the more Grand Cru level, maybe the Geneviève as well, but the Perrier is really outstanding, so complex, elegant, but in the meantime with shoulder and backbone. This is a wine which I compare with, at the level, not the style and the taste, with the Corton Charlemagne. Actually, I price it the same.
Wow.
Yeah.
Ken is asking, I guess you can read it in your book, but he's asking thoughts on Rudy's deportation and if it's a case of celebration.
Well, I don't want to speak about this before my book is finished. You will read a lot of things that nobody knows about the case in the book, and forget everything you know about it. Well, some things are real, but I spent 5 years of my life working on it, maybe 5 to 10% of my life. Not only I was a winemaker in the meantime. So there are some things interesting, but I've never said I am happy that this guy went to jail. I'm satisfied is the right word. But I'm not satisfied he's out of jail.
Okay. Edwin, do you have anyone queued up?
I don't see any other questions, but if anyone does, feel free to unmute yourself and you can ask some questions here.
Actually, I like so much to share, to be with people that I don't like this kind of, I am happy to be with you now, but something is missing through the screen, and each one alone in this place, I always say if a bottle is too big for one drinker, a Magnum is too small for two. We need to share.
Absolutely. Next time you do this, we'll be in the same city, hopefully.
Sure.
Well, I was surprised to learn that it's actually legal in France to advertise alcohol. So in the spirit of wine culture and wine education in France and getting people to learn and to try your wines, what approach do you have at your disposal in order to to get your story and to get your wines in front of people?
No, it's not that easy. I mean, we can advertise, but we have so many guidelines to respect that we don't really advertise on alcohol. We advertise on the name of the company, on the appellation, but we cannot make any comment on the content. And on each level today, we have to write so many things. It means after a while, it will be like a medicine, when only medicine are having so many things on it. But if you compare that to medicine, it's good because the wine is much better. Drink a glass of wine can cure a lot of problems. But I don't know how things are happening today on the planet. But when we have to print our labels, it's a nightmare for my PA because every single country has a new rule. In France, you have other rules. So when we do marketing, so to say, we don't really use the alcohol as a way to promote the wine. We prefer to speak what I'm doing now on the terroir, the history and things. It's not that easy. Even if we have the right to advertise on beverages with alcohol, we cannot really work on alcohol itself.
I mean, is the French market friendly for kind of the premium Burgundian Bordeaux wines, or is the focus really on outside of France?
No, it's focused on France, but on low-level wine or cheap wine. The French people historically don't want to buy expensive wines. Or Grand Cru, my market until the COVID arrived was 2% in France. Thanks to the COVID, I sell 6% to France now, because people decided to buy less but better. But no, France has never been a good client for high-level wines or expensive wines. but they buy a lot of wine from France. I mean, the Bordeaux Supérieur, the Bourgogne Rouge, the Côte du Rhône, and so on, and all the other region, the Provence, they sell well in France, for sure, for sure.
We have two other questions in the chat as well. One of them was, Laurent, have you ever tried any Canadian Chardonnay?
I did.
Hopefully you enjoyed it. I know sometimes it's difficult for us with the climate here as well.
But my answer is in the question. I did, but it is a Chardonnay. And one day, I hope it will not be a Chardonnay. It will be a wine. I don't know what the wine produced, but but the name of the place is so much more important than having a Chardonnay from Canada, from I don't know. I have also drunk Chards. I mean, you'd say Chards from all over the planet. They are just beverages made from oak and Chardonnay. Give the main part of the wine to the location, to the appellation. I would say it doesn't exist yet in many countries, but this is it. No, I have drunk. Yeah, as I said, I'm very open to the wines from everywhere, and it is. I don't say it's bad, actually, not at all. I love to drink this, but when people say this is a wine, sometimes I say no, this is a beverage. I'm bad, I'm sorry.
Oh, that was great. And then there's another question about when your book is actually coming out, and maybe if you want to talk a little bit about being an author as well.
Actually, I am in the process of writing it. I'm working on it for years, but because of my new venture, and I sleep only 4 hours a night to make everything happen. In 4 years, we have done a great job, a long job to reach 25 appellation and new winery. I have bought vineyards as well. So my book was a part, and now I am helped by a ghostwriter. So we are focused on it every week. We spend half a day to write it. So I guess in summer it will be finished, then translated in English, and maybe published in the fall. I hope in November.
Oh, that would be great. I'm sure a few of us will be excited to listen. I'll read it, sorry. And then I'll kind of open it up. If anyone has any last questions, feel free to jump in right now. If not, Laurent, do you have any final words as well before I can close off?
Thank you to be here and to share again our wines. The wines that we produce are made for you all. Okay, we try to keep 1 or 2 bottles for ourselves because we like it too. But this is it. I am so happy that we could share this moment together, and this is just a start with Canada, and I did also in the meantime with SAQ and Vancouver. So I'm happy that Canada is reaching the high level of my clients, and thank you for that. And the last thing I can say is cheers.
Cheers, Laurent.
Cheers. Thank you.
I'd like to thank you, Laurent, for taking the time this evening. I know it's getting late in France as well. I think we all really appreciate you taking us to this tasting and having the opportunity to taste so many different of your wines. And I really think this showed a good range of the wines, and I definitely learned something today about each of the vineyards and kind of your process in making the wines. So from all of us here, we'd like to thank you for taking the time. And again, just a reminder to anyone, if you have any other follow-up questions, feel free to email us at info@cgufinewines.com. And like Laurent said, currently we have a special offer at the LCBO for some of the wines, which includes the bone you tasted here today as well. So thank you everyone for joining us.
Thanks, Laurent.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye.